Welcome back, folks. Roster the People, summertime edition. 32 teams in 32 days. We're almost there. We're so close. Today is the 21st of August. So we are getting into week 3 of the preseason. Also, if anything sounds a little bit dated, that would be why. So next week on the 28th, we are going to be recording the wrap-up show. And then that will go live on the 31st so that everyone can get the final updated takes that they need for their draft. This is your draft primer for 2024. It's all based around 12-team redraft, PPR scoring, standard 16-round draft. So there you go. We're going to reference a lot of ADPs and a lot of ECR and rankings and things like that. The reality of that is that Jason and I are both part of the Fantasy Pros ECR. We are a Fantasy Pros affiliate as a website. Thank you, Fantasy Pros, for allowing us to be back with you again. If we have anything that needs to be adjusted because we're significantly different than that, we will note it. We will also note any other formats that we feel there should be a significant change. So there you go. That's the high level for what this is. And today, as you can see from my background, and also if you read the title of this before you clicked on it, we're going to talk about Seattle. We're going to talk about the Seabags. Good old Seattle today. Everybody loves Seattle. Fun Seattle note, Pete Carroll says he wants to come back. He doesn't say to Seattle specifically, but he's not done coaching. And all I can say is I hope I have that stamina when I'm 80. Or because it's about that. Pete Carroll's got to be about 80, right? Like,
feels like
the 70s, that's for sure.
He's teaching a class at USC this year. That's what he said. They hired him to teach class. I have no idea what kind of class it is. I have several sarcastic, inappropriate options. You can Google. How about this? Google Seattle. No, not that. Google USC cheerleader Pete Carroll. Just Google that. And there you go. Just Google that and then understand why Pete Carroll had to stop coaching in college. Just know that that's what it is. Like, so I don't know what class he's teaching, but there you go.
Coaching.
Yes. So whatever. Please note that I've had the day from hell and I've had about 3 hours of sleep. So if I say anything weird like that, that would be why. So I'm doing my best.
He's trying.
With that, Jason Draven, Mike Burland, they're here. They're also trying. They're doing their best. It should be a low bar to step over to get past me today. That bar should be a tripping hazard in hell for how low of a bar that it is. With that, this is an interesting team in the sense that very little has changed from last year. If you saw the 2023 version of this team, it's going to be pretty familiar to you. So we'll go straight into it. Geno Smith is quarterbacking for this team once again. For good or for ill, this is what they've decided. It's going to be Geno Smith. I believe this is the last year of Geno Smith's deal. I believe that is accurate. So we're going to see if they're going to move forward with this in a real way or if this is going to be it. So is that correct? Anybody want to fact check me on that?
I'm pretty sure it is.
Yeah, I think this is the last year of the Geno Smith deal. So with that, we've kind of seen what Geno Smith is. He's a professional NFL quarterback.
Nope. He has another one. 2025 is his last, and then he's a UFA.
There you go. So he's got one more year for next year. So there you go. I was close. So yeah, we've kind of seen what this is, right? Geno Smith, professional NFL quarterback, but not really going to win you your league. Also not really going to win the Seahawks a Super Bowl more than likely unless something crazy happens. As such, he goes as the QB 25. His ADP is 182 overall, which for those playing along at home is functionally the last round of drafts. He's down there for a reason. Is anybody going to recommend Geno Smith for fantasy? Because outside of a 2-quarterback league, I am not.
No, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we're talking about him as a streamer during the week, but that's about it. Kind of like Derek Carr. He's in that level of QBs. Overall for the Seahawks, I am very excited about this offense and how it's going to run, and it's going to be a little bit more modern, fast-paced. The Seahawks under Pete Carroll were always just the slowest team and ran the least amount of plays. Like Russell Wilson was just super efficient even during his prime. So I am excited about a lot of the players on this team, but yeah, he's more of a streamer. if he does get back to 2022, especially the rushing stuff where he ran for 21 yards a game, then we're talking about something. But I'm not going to be drafting him. He'll be a waiver wire pickup a couple weeks in at best.
Yeah, I mean, he does have a good matchup the first week. So just going to throw that out there for you.
I'd like to know
the Seahawks actually have like a better defense for like the first couple of games. So I know I've been like quietly presenting that as an option for people who ask who should the random time you do get it, because defenses are making their way out of fantasy, but that is a good streamer for that team. So if you're looking for it.
Sure, but my only thing is, what would your draft have to be looking at QB streamer in week 1? It's probably not realistic.
I mean, that's
See
fair.
my point? Like, you would need to have completely whiffed on QB to a level that you're just going to stream QB all year. So for the 1% of people that play fantasy that way in 2024, cool. Geno Smith is a good streaming option for you if you're literally that individual who's going to stream all year at quarterback and you're just going to punt the entire position out of the draft. I will say that is an incredibly narrow group of people.
Well, or potentially the person you gets hurt. You've already drafted. You could have had, I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
2% of people that will find themselves.
It's I
the
understand.
100 people that will impact out of 1 million people playing fantasy.
Hey, I don't discriminate here, okay?
Yeah, I do appreciate that, but I will say let's spend time on things that matter. So Geno Smith, not really a fantasy asset for right now. I agree, Mike. If he did get the rushing floor back, that's a big if. I think you're going to look at something a lot more like the 2023 stat line than you will the 2022 stat line. I know they've changed coaches. I know that there's a different philosophy, but Geno Smith at this point in his career, I don't think he's suddenly going to. I think the 2022 season was a serious outlier. That's what I think. So even with new coaching, I still think they want to put the ball through their running backs if and when they do want to run. But I do think Geno Smith won't crater out the fantasy assets that you're really looking at here. So, yes, I do think, though, you guys will spend a significant amount of time talking about Geno Smith on Mondays.
Yeah.
But I just don't think it has much relevance for your draft.
You know, Aaron Rodgers goes down week 1, Geno Smith.
Again, but you're not drafting that accordingly. And this is a draft primer, not a in-season hypothetical streaming quarterback show. That show will take place on Monday on the first week of the season. You guys are on it. That's, you know what I mean? That's a conversation for Mondays. Nobody's going to recommend Geno Smith in your draft. There's too many better options unless you just are completely punting the position and are looking for streamers in week 1. And very narrow group of people will be doing that. So we'll see if it comes up. Running back hasn't changed at all. It's Kenneth Walker III, and last year's rookie Zach Charbonnet. Kenneth Walker is going to open as the RB17. That is an ADP of 44. Zach Charbonnet is RB43, an ADP of 139. I have mentioned this several times. There's a must handcuff list for fantasy. It's not long. There's about 3 teams. There you go. This is one of them. Because this is one of the rare situations where I would actually say to you, if something happened to Kenneth Walker, and we've seen that movie a couple times, Zach Charbonnet would probably be the guy who would get the lion's share of the work out of the running back position. Would they sign somebody? Yeah, probably. But there's nobody that's the caliber of Zach Charbonnet. So for me, this is a must handcuff. If I'm going with the Kenneth Walker strategy as one of my main RBs, I'm making it a point to get Zach Charbonnet on my team in my draft. Does anybody want to talk about the handcuffing or the general ADPs for these two guys, or just overall?
I mean, did put it up on the website. We do have merch for this, but with that, shameless plug, had to. Yeah, I mean I think that's a decent value for Walker. Him being healthy, he will have that job in tow very easily. I don't think there's any issue with that. It's just, again, depending on how your draft kind of falls to you. I mean, his ups, I honestly think you're probably looking at his floor if he's healthy for RB17. So he can definitely move up. And with that draft price, you're looking, what, 3rd round, 4th round? So you go 2 stud wide receivers to start. Kenneth Walker's a good starting running back for you. I mean, he's going to see a lot of touches. So, and then, of course, like you said, definitely worth getting Charbonnet just in case, because Walker hasn't been the picture of health. So I'll get both prices are decent too.
Yeah, definitely. I kind of mentioned it at the top of the show. I'm excited about Seattle and their offense. I think they're going to be that team that we're not really expecting to take this major offensive jump. And Kenneth Walker might be the one I'm most excited about. I love where you're getting him in that 4th round. You know, I mentioned it before. There's that group of Mixon, Kamara, Kenneth Walker in the 4th round. Like, I feel confident I could start 3 wide receivers and get one of those guys, and I would be completely happy with one of those guys as my RB1. I think Kenneth Walker is going to have a big year. I just think he's so much better than Charbonnet. I do agree. Charbonnet, handcuff him. But I wasn't a big fan of his. Didn't really do much last year. He was taking Kenneth Walker off the field a little bit, but I just think Kenneth Walker is so much better than him, and it's a new coaching staff. They've been hyping him up. This offense, I think, is going to be faster paced. So, yeah, I'm pretty big on Kenneth Walker this year. I agree with Jason. Like, you're kind of getting him at his floor, and I think he could be easily a top 12 running back this year.
Yeah, the unnecessary shot at Charbonnet there was a little uncalled for there, Mark. But yeah.
It's not a huge fan.
I know you're not, but I really like him. I just, again, when you're behind somebody who is a Kenneth Walker type, he's not an old RB. So it just is unfortunate that this guy didn't land somewhere like, I don't know, Chargers. Somebody who actually will use an RB that could be healthy and, could have for a while. But it just sucks to see so much talent get kind of wasted because you're behind a better back. So,
you got so close to getting dumped when you brought up the Chargers. You need to tighten that up because I had my hand over the dump button. Like, he's going to go to the penalty box here rapidly, about to happen. So, nope, you're good. You're good. That stayed fantasy relevant. That's fine. It's fine. Watch yourself. We've already had this conversation in the background with various leadership people around here about talking about the Chargers. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Keep going. FAFO. Google what that means. Go ahead. Look it up.
I taught you how to do that. Don't even.
It's like a breath of fresh air. If I let him go too long, he'll get back on his phone.
I have work to be doing. What are you talking about?
Yeah, work. Yeah. Playing Clash of Clans. Work. All right. There's no real third option for this team. Like I said, they'd probably sign somebody. But I don't really have a problem with either ADP. I think that's about fair. So I think we're all more or less in alignment that Seahawk RB still has value. And I think we all agree, yeah, if you can, get them both. You really want both. There's only a handful of handcuffs for this year. This is one of the teams. And then we're going to go through some more familiar faces here as we go into wide receiver. So the most obvious one is DK Metcalf. DK Metcalf's been on this team forever. I don't see that changing. They seem to be very happy with him, and it just continues to roll on. I think he's also coming up for a new deal here. Not this year, but the year after? I think next year is the last year of his contract. Pretty sure. Something along those lines. But DK seems to be he's a fan favorite. He seems to be a favorite of the coaching staff, even the new one. So he's not going to go anywhere. As far as I'm concerned, I'd be pretty stunned. And he's still good. He's still young too, is what I was looking at recently. He's like 26. It's like wow. It feels like he's been in the league forever, and it's like, nah, not really.
Yeah, 26, 257 days.
Yeah.
And he has a potential out next year.
Yeah.
So
but I don't see them exercising that on their 26-year-old best wide receiver on the team. Yeah, I don't think so. This is the franchise. In reality, is DK Metcalf. And what's interesting is he opens as the wide receiver 21. He's got an ADP of 41. I actually feel like you're getting a deal here. This feels a little cheap, like for what you're the theoretical. If you like upside, this is where your upside is. It's a shame that it's still Geno Smith. It is a shame that this is what's happening. But no, for me, DK Metcalf is one of those where I'm like, nah, I'm looking to invest in some DK around here. Mike, you're shaking your head here. It sounds like I'm not crazy.
No, not at all. I love it. He has been a bit of a, his 2020 season, he was like dynasty wide receiver number 1. Is he the best wide receiver in football? And he hasn't lived up to his 2020 season. But I think you're getting him at his floor. He's been a low end wide receiver 2 the last 3 years, basically, to mid to low end wide receiver 2. And I think, again, I've been talking about it. This offense, I think you're getting him at his floor, and the upside is like top 12 to me. Like the guy could easily be a top 12 receiver. So like, I'm just loving the value for like all these Seahawks players. He's a big red zone target guy. Just hasn't really translated to a big touchdown year the last 2 years, but you'd imagine if he keeps getting those, we're going to have a 10, 12 touchdown year like we did a couple years ago. He's always big. He can put up a 50-point game and win you a week easily. So I expect close to a career year. I expect closer to 2020 numbers in terms of yardage and touchdowns this coming year in 2024. So super excited about DK again, just getting him at the floor, in my opinion, and top 12 upside.
Yeah, man, it's just every time he's somebody I feel like always gets into a weird spot because you're kind of really hoping he gets those touchdowns, which he's kind of been missing out on. It's really been hit or miss. And then, of course, he's a big, very talented guy. You want to get him the ball. But if you don't, he really struggles. I have him ranked fairly high. So the draft price, I'm probably going to be taking a lot of him. But, man, it's... I mean, it looks like both teams, him and Walker, in the same spot. I don't know. I'd much probably rather take Metcalf here and then take a running back either earlier or later. But it's I'm
in general, I would take the wide receiver, but especially in this case, given the Kenneth Walker frustrating injury history and also competition, I would definitely take DK. Because the competition isn't nearly as severe. Yes, there are other wide receivers on the team, but they don't do what DK Metcalf does. Different jobs. Completely
different roles completely between each one of them. So
they all have their own job. Like they've fleshed out this wide receiver room. They all have their own jobs. DK Metcalf is your true 1 alpha on that team. He is the wide receiver 1. And then the next guy who we'll get into here is JSN.
Surprisingly.
So, well, I don't think it is surprising because you're talking about the third guy is Tyler Lockett, and you're talking about age at this point. So JSN is like, this is his second year, and he punched above his weight class last year. He came in, and it took a while, but by the end of the year, JSN was becoming a target monster, and that also DK Metcalf was significantly nicked up. So you were dealing with the fact that he was playing, but he was clearly limping, and he was having trouble getting separation because he was limping. Well, by all reports, DK Metcalf is fully healthy right now. And JSN has put in a significant amount of work in the offseason to work on his game. But JSN is your underneath threat. He gets some red zone work, but he's your underneath guy. He's your possession wide receiver. Whereas Tyler Lockett is the same job. He's your field stretcher.
Yeah.
That's what
he's
his
running
job
down the
is.
field with his hand up.
Exactly. He runs down the field with his hand up, and that's what his job is.
if you're building
Tyler
a wide
Lockett is the
receiver
one who's
room.
hurt right now.
Yeah.
So he's hurt already. Oh, and Tyler Lockett's my age. So you're going to have that
a little
problem.
younger than you.
Shut up.
I know you want to be younger, but
Shut. Hush.
Yeah, it's like
and
it's
yes,
like the
correct.
it's like he's 31.
Yeah.
And 335 days. Hey, his birthday's coming up.
32.
He's 32. I'm only 5 years
He
older.
will
than
be
him.
32.
I'm only
this year.
5 years older than him. That's fine. Still waiting on my phone call. Not coming. Yeah, but no. So JSN is coming in at the wide receiver 44, 101 overall. See, I think JSN's also kind of a value. And Tyler Lockett comes in as the least expensive. Sure, wide receiver 52, ADP 134 overall, but he's the one I don't want. It's not consistent enough. I've been burned on this before. This is not a new opinion for me, and I don't care because it's like I'm not reversing course on this decision because I've been right as many times as I've been wrong. And eventually, because I've been right about this too, where Tyler Lockett eventually gets way up the draft board and people are like surprised that it's not consistent. It's very frustrating. This year, it's baked in. But I'm not interested in Tyler Lockett really as a flex with his gimpy foot and the fact that he's getting to the end of his career. That's the reality of it at this point, is that Tyler Lockett, what's the upside for Tyler Lockett, Jason? Because I know you have this ranked very differently than other people.
I mean, you're really, it's difficult. Because like you said, the age thing, it looks like he's still going to have that same role, which
the maddeningly frustrating role that he's had for years.
But he's going to have those massive games. I mean,
I don't care. In best ball, it's great. In any other format, I tend to avoid
last year he
this.
was standard. Let me double check. I was like So last year he's wide receiver 32 with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 double-digit games and 3 games over 22 fantasy points. Like, it's not ideal because, of course, his down week is a 3 or 2.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it's very much a hit or miss thing. And like you said, best ball is not great, but the chance he could win you a week if you put him in your flex as a third wide receiver could also happen. As terrifying as that is. So I guess it's really depending on he's free. So
it's not free. That's not free. Free is 180, 190, 134 is not free. It's a 12th round pick. To which I say no. Because I don't want the frustration of it. And so that's my opinion. It's not a new opinion for me. It's been my opinion for a long time. That yes, there are times when he's been undervalued. There's been times when he's been overvalued. But on the aggregate, it doesn't actually matter because in reality, it's just so frustrating that you're going to struggle to know, like, when do I put him in my lineup?
Well, on that same note, we could say that about JSN.
No, not how I have JSN projected for this year. I have JSN projected as much more consistent because of the nature of JSN's job. He's going to be working the underneath, and he should be open a significant amount of the time because they're going to rotate coverage to DK because that's what they do. And then they'll put somebody to cover Tyler Lockett running down the seam, and JSN's the one that's going to likely have either the interior corner, the nickel, who he will destroy 90% of nickel corners in the league. Like, he's way better than them. Or God help you if you put a linebacker on him. I would love that. Oh my God, I'll win every week. So that's where I'm looking at JSN. To me, he's the mismatch. He's the one who I feel like is on the rise. And his job, there, even at 101, I feel like there's significant upside here. Plus, by the end of the year, he was getting red zone targets. And that is the cheat code. DK, I know what it is. DK, I know what I'm getting. JSN, I feel like I know what I'm getting. And Tyler Lockett, it's not even the mystery box. I feel like I know what I'm getting, and I just don't want it for PPR. I'm just going to let someone else deal with that. If you're asking me, I'm much more inclined to draft the following in this order: DK, JSN, Kenneth Walker, and then handcuff Kenneth Walker to Charbonnet. That's my order.
Yeah. Again, it really depends on how you build your team. So
Yeah, a little bit. There's a little bit of that going on. Mike's nodding. Mike, am I crazy? What do you think, Mike? Where are you at with some of this?
No, I'm big on JSN. Again, I like the value. It's top. He's barely in the top 100. Think he is going to overtake in terms of target percentage and stuff. Lockett, who is getting older, like we mentioned. So yeah, he's another one on this team. I love it. I love where he's going. And I hope again. I'm excited about this offense. My only concern is he going to be playing in 2 wide receiver sets? We don't really know. He was in the preseason, but also Metcalf and Lockett weren't playing. So we don't really know how it's going to work out, because if he's playing on 2 wide receiver sets and then moves to the slot in 3 wide receiver sets, then he's kind of like to the moon, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So he could be limited a little
here's
bit.
the thing. Even if he
he's just a
doesn't,
slot,
and he's
though.
even if he's just the slot, I think that's appropriately priced out
Yeah.
for you. I think that
Agreed.
price bakes in the idea that he's just the slot.
Yeah.
That's why I say there's upside, because if he can crack onto the field in 2 wide receiver sets, even if that means Tyler Lockett just gets old and starts to get hurt again, then it's to the moon. You're talking about you're getting a 4-round discount. Because if we knew he was playing 2 wide receiver sets and was their starting slot, he'd be a 6th-round pick.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's not, we don't know that. And then the last thing is Noah Fant. Noah Fant is a very trendy sleeper tight end this year. I am dubious. This also feeds into my JSN thing. I think a lot of people are like, oh, Noah Fant will be out there and he'll siphon off. And I'm like, I've seen Noah Fant be terrible for so many years that I'm just not sold on this. Noah Fant opens as the tight end 26. His ADP is 230. He's going undrafted. I know a lot of fantasy analysts that are big on Noah Fant just to know who it is as a tight end streamer. Even the people that are bullish on him are not recommending that you draft him. And I think that is correct.
Last year, he did not have a single double-digit week. Oh, no, that's not true.
I think he had 1.
Week 17.
Yeah.
He was out week 1.
Yeah. One thing about last year, Shane Waldron was the offensive coordinator. He's just notorious for like rotating, Colby Parkinson and Will Dissly in there and stuff like. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Fant is, again, we're talking on Monday. Hey, pick him up, because he is talented. Look at David Njoku's like career path of talented, athletic 1st-round picks that disappointed, and then you see when they finally like feed the guy, oh, this is maybe what he's capable of.
That's why I'm bringing him up. Know who it is, but I'm not suggesting drafting. It's not a draftable thing, and that's what this is for. It's for your draft. So yes, you can know who Noah Fant is and understand that he's probably going to be the tight end 1 for the Seahawks. But that's not something you're drafting. That's something, just know what it is, see how it goes. And if we're wrong, or if the offense works a little differently than what we think, you can pick him up off the waiver wire. You don't need to spend a pick on this. The one other thing that I will mention is in the offseason, they did sign Sam Howell to be the backup. And I will say, I like Sam Howell.
Same.
Just as a player. Like, I like Sam Howell quite a bit. He was so much better than that car wash of garbage that Washington had for so many years. And I think he would still be their quarterback if they didn't draft who they drafted. Yeah, if they didn't take a quarterback, I think he'd still be there.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So it's like, it made sense to me because Sam Howell, I think, thinks that he can start in the league, and I don't even think he's wrong. So he doesn't want to be backing up the new 1st-round pick.
Yeah.
He's never going to start over. So this actually made sense for Sam Howell, where it's like, get out of Washington, go somewhere where there
full
is a
year to
pathway.
recover too here.
What's that?
He'll have a full year to recover after getting so beaten up in Washington.
Right, from getting crushed by having no O-line. Go to a different team, back up somebody
kind of his fault, but
well, a little bit of that. There's some of that.
Yeah,
his decision making is
maybe learning behind Geno will help.
It's a little, but yeah, this made a lot of sense to me. Go to Seattle, take Drew Lock's job. We already saw that like Geno is the guy for now. They're still looking for a guy for the future. It could be Sam Howell. There's a non-zero chance Sam Howell is starting for this team by the end of the year. And I don't think it matters as it relates to the skill position guys. You'll be fine. If it's Sam Howell that they say is going out there, I'm like, I don't care. That's fine.
Yeah,
Fine.
there's a 10-year age gap between Geno Smith and Sam Howell.
Yeah. And we already saw that Geno Smith got beat up towards the end of last year and they rolled Drew Lock out there. So there is a chance that Sam Howell could be starting for this team at the end of the year. And I think it does not matter for your fantasy prospects as it relates to the guys you actually care about. Just know that they do have a quality backup. And if it becomes relevant, you guys will talk about Sam Howell on Monday at some point because I could see him being a streamer as well. So there's nobody on this team quarterback-wise that I'd recommend you draft. Just let someone else deal with that. There's streamers. I would not draft Zach Charbonnet on his own. I would just let someone else deal with that. But if I was going the Kenneth Walker route, I would make it a point to get Zach Charbonnet. If it's me and you're taking my advice, that's what I would do. And then I would draft, as I said, I would draft DK, JSN. That has to do with their relative price points. And then third would be Kenneth Walker handcuffed to Zach Charbonnet. And the rest of his team I'm not touching. It's all waiver wire fodder for me at that point. So there's 3 things that I'm interested in. 3.5 if we're counting the Zach Charbonnet handcuffs. 3.5 things. So that's kind of where I'm at. So I know Jason will pound the table for Tyler Lockett because he's been doing that since I've known him. So that's
State guy, man. I don't know what else to tell you.
Never going to stop. Like, Tyler Lockett will have to retire.
And when he does, it'll be a sad day.
Yeah, Jason will literally be like wearing a veil. He's going to need like one of those like hats with a veil on it because, the crying. His eyes are going to be all puffy. Like, he's going to go to work too. And people are going to be like, what happened? Are you in mourning for your turtle? And it's like, do you even have a turtle? And it's going to be one of those situations where it's like, nope, Tyler Lockett retired. Then I'm just a little of a clip. So that's what that day is going to be. So it's going to be a weird day. Really weird day. Mike, what do you think? Anything to pick apart on that? Or are you more or less in alignment with what I just kind of laid out there?
Yep. Exactly. I keep saying it. This is a team where I feel like you're getting a lot of players at their floor and they have a lot of upside. So really in on the Seahawks, could see having multiple of these guys on my team.
It reminds me of the Jacksonville show where the hate has gone so far that now there's values.
Yeah,
it reminds me
completely
of that.
Been erased from everybody's mind.
Yes.
Somehow.
Yeah. Because I remember in 2022, people were like, oh my God. And then it was a little disappointing last year. So I feel like that's what you're seeing this year is the market has reset, but it's reset lower than 2022.
Getting a discount.
And that's where I'm like, that can't make sense. You know what I mean? Like, that isn't really possible for what it is. So you shouldn't be getting a discount on what the pre-draft rankings were in 2022. And that's where we are. So it is a little bit of a weird thing. So anyway, that's the Seahawks for this year. It's not going to be the funnest football team to watch, I don't think. If you're Mason and you're talking about the football of the future with, 40 pass attempts minimum a game, there'll be more than under Pete Carroll, but I don't think you're going to get that. So I still think, even with new coaching, I still think you are going to see the remnants of, you can't, Mike, you know how this works. You cover through PFF, stuff like that. You know how this goes. There's no way that with a team that had the same coaching and same front office and that you're going to come in and undo that culture in 1 year.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. So I think you are going to see the remnants of history. And then in the next couple years, we'll reassess on what that is. So, but for this year, yeah, I think you are going to see the ghosts of Pete Carroll. And I think we just got done seeing the ghost of Russell Wilson. Like, it's like, it takes a couple years when you've had the same system in place for that long to flush everything out. So, final thoughts, gentlemen, on the Seahawks. Anything?
I think we covered it.
Perfect. Enjoy your values, folks. Tune in tomorrow where we're going to talk about another world of values, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Until then, keep up the nonsense.
I'm Tim Kitzer from NBA Jam and NFL Blitz, and you can find all the guys at ImportantNonsense.com. Kaboom!